going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 325 of Cocktails in the War Room. Every Tuesday night at 8:30, we meet right here on my official Facebook page, my Instagram, my YouTube, and my Twitch channels. So I got to say what's up to everybody that is, I'll have one of those if you're making them. Want to say what's up to everybody that's joining us for the first time here in the War Room, which is in fact a room in my house where all of my family's military memorabilia is, all of the artifacts that I brought back from my trips overseas, which, by the way, was this week in 2006 in Iraq and 2011 in Afghanistan. And it's also where we wrote out the pandemic, because this is the room of the house where the bar is. We've been calling it the War Room for 15 years. And so we started hanging out here March 14th of 2020, 80 nights in a row until we launched the Mistress Carrie podcast in June of 2020. And then we turned it into a weekly show most of the time. I reserve the right to cancel if something's going on. But otherwise, we meet right here in the War Room. And as you have noticed, hey, don't tip over the microphone, guys. As you have noticed, the chaos has begun. Over here, guys. What's over here? What's over here? Because the pugs have arrived. And of course, they want to play on the other side of the couch where I didn't put the cameras. Friday, come over here. Wednesday, over here. Come on. Over here. Come show everybody how cute you are and say hi to everybody. What's going on to everybody on Instagram? What's going on to everybody on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook? Got to say what's up to the OG War Room family. Dina and Bish, Keith, Eric, Shane is joining us. Brett and Sherry are here. Kevin, Carol is here. Alexis and Ash. So if it's your first time joining us in the War Room, let me know in the comments. Let me know where you're watching from as well, so that the War Room family can welcome you properly. And we call this the Pug Cam. Now, I did move some things around because I was told that people watching on Instagram can see both screens at the same time. So if somebody's watching on Instagram, can you let me know that you're seeing the entire screen right now, including the pugs over here playing? And yes, Mr. C is here. He's making root beer floats, which has become kind of a family tradition. So I'm hoping I get a root beer float. He made one. Sherry says blueberry cobbler. Mr. C, the War Room bartender, says Bish. What's up, Will? Hello, Carol and Jason. Socks tied at 7, Jason says. What's up, Mike on Facebook? Showfly, what's going on Instagram? Yes, you can see everything. Okay, so I was never really sure about the aspect ratio on Instagram because it would never let me beta test it based on what you guys are seeing. So if you're seeing the whole screen, that's great, because that means that I can reconfigure some of the screens and you guys can see half of you and half of the dogs. Okay, so it is changing the aspect ratio, which is really weird. This should be all dogs, or well, Wednesday anyway, and then this should be all me. So I was told that Instagram would be able to show the side by sides, but I guess it's not. So I appreciate the heads up on that. Are they spiked floats? I don't have my float yet. I don't know if it's going to be spiked. Just a regular root beer float. We've been, hold on, Mr. Showfly on Instagram texting me what it looks like. Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, that looks about right. So root beer floats were like a thing that was a big deal when I was a kid, that my dad would make them, my sister and I had them, and it's become a thing with my husband and I and the kids that we always have root beer floats. And over the course of Labor Day weekend, we've been doing some pretty significant tasks around the house, like a dump truck of dirt, a full, like you have to have a CDL to drive a dump truck of dirt. And so every night we've been having root beer floats through the holiday weekend because it's been a lot of shoveling and raking and seeding and watering and trying to repair some grass stuff and just full-blown disaster. So I want to thank everybody for the early anniversary wishes last week. You guys were there when I got engaged. You guys knew that I was getting married before anybody else. And so this past Friday was our 5-year wedding anniversary. And so last week when we were hanging around, I told you guys that Mr. C was coming up so we could celebrate our anniversary. So we did the big get dressed up and do the fancy anniversary dinner on Friday night, which was great. And then, hey, guys. So I wanted to show you, now that it's after Labor Day, it's like officially hoodie season in the Northeast. But I wanted to show you guys my new hoodie. It is a Shinedown Dance Kid Dance. It's like half green, half black. So when they kicked off the Dance Kid Dance Tour in Boston, you guys know that the bonus kids, Mr. C, we all went to the show. And the guys in Shinedown gifted the fam passes and said, if you guys want to come to any show on the tour, you guys can. And so my bonus son and my husband decided to take them up on the opportunity to go to another show. So they went and caught the tour again in Raleigh. And so because I wasn't able to go with them, I got a little gift from the family. So I got a new Shinedown hoodie, which I'm super excited about. Jessica says, hi, Carrie, Wednesday and Friday. Shane says, if we were out of root beer, we would just use Coke or a Pepsi, still super solid. Shane, you can make it with coffee too, which I have had, and it's delicious. But yeah, like anything with vanilla ice cream in it. I even used to get, when we were kids, we would go out to the beach and we would get like slushies. And I always got, where's my root beer float? Come on. And I like the green one the best. And so I would always get like a lemon lime, like slushy, but they would put vanilla ice cream in it, which is, and if you've never had a cherry icy with vanilla ice cream in it, it's kind of spectacular. So good. Can't believe it was 5 years already, says Mr. Voorhees. I know. It's crazy. And the cool thing is because we got married in the height of COVID, we got married at home in the front yard. And so the weekend of our 5th anniversary, we actually spent a bunch of time working on the landscaping in the front yard. And so while getting married in a really cool venue is awesome, whether it be a church or, you know, someplace that's special for the two of you, getting married in my own front yard was kind of awesome because we spend time out there all the time together, and it's where we got married, which is really cool. So I highly recommend getting married at home. If, I mean, obviously during a global pandemic, it's kind of a necessity, but it's weddings are so expensive that you spend all this money renting a venue. And what we did was we spent some money working on our own yard. Come here, Friday. If you want to sit in my lap, sit in my lap. You work on your own yard, and then it's like an investment instead of an expense, because whatever money you spend, hey, you get to keep because you spent money on your own house. So if you plant flowers, or if you put up a pergola or a gazebo, or like whatever it is, it stays if you get married at home, which was kind of awesome. So I love the fact that that we get to hang out where we got married every day, which is awesome. By the way, this is Friday. In case you haven't been formally introduced, the clingiest pug that I have ever had in my life. She is my 6th pug, and she is by far the clingiest, like has to be with me, touching me, breathing my air. What are you, what are you doing? Do you want to come sit with me? Come on. No, you're going to stay here? You can sit on my lap if you want. Or do you just want to? Yeah, okay, go ahead. Come on. Can I shake your hand? Thank you. Carol says, Mr. C, no float. Yeah, where I didn't get my float yet. Court martial Mr. C for not bringing you a float. Carol says, I got married in the backyard. So Carol, you know what I'm talking about. It's awesome. Now, obviously, if you're having a big wedding or if you are a member of, a religion that you want to get married in your house of worship, that's always really special and really sweet. But it's just really cool to just have that space in your own yard, and you're already paying for it. So there you go. Let's see. Hello, Rachel. What's this about floating? Oh, it's Mr. C not making. Mr. C with the root beer float action. Thank you. This is what we're talking about, Rachel. So growing up, it was always big spoon, bendy straw in the root beer float. So, excuse me. There's nothing like a root beer float. Shane says we all float down here. Christine says Mr. C is slacking. Nope, he came through, Carol. Absolutely. Yeah, he's making the root beer floats delicious. I have not tried making a root beer float with that spiked root beer. Have you guys had that yet? That might be kind of good, actually. So I already had a cocktail recipe picked out for tonight, but we might have to find something with root beer in it now. Oh, yeah. Delicious. All right. So we got a bunch of stuff to talk about. And as you guys know, Instagram changed the streaming stuff on Instagram. So you can only stream for an hour on Instagram. So I always have to keep my eye on the clock now to make sure that the show is not running over, because it also crashes the rest of the show when Instagram cuts off. So is that an Italian root beer float? Well, I mean, it is if I'm drinking it. So, yeah. And look at this. Friday just wants her part of the root beer float here, right? You just want the ice cream. You don't care about the root beer. You just want the ice cream, don't you? I know. All right. So the first thing I want to do is thank Brett for reminding me that I have been slacking when it comes to Show Us Your MC, which is something we started doing a while back. Whenever you guys are out someplace cool, it doesn't have to be a concert. It doesn't have to be backstage with Hailstorm. But if you guys are out doing something cool and you got your Mistress Carrie gear on, make sure you send me the pictures so that we can talk about it here in the War Room and put it up in the gallery on Facebook for Show Me Your MC. So a bunch of War Room family members got hooked up with VIP passes to meet Hailstorm when they were in town with Volbeat. So here's Brett right here with Lizzie and everybody from Hailstorm. And then I spy some other members of the War Room family with their gear on. And also, we're always talking about the Mistress Carrie backstage passes. Well, here's the Hailstorm backstage passes, just so you guys can see what it is. Will your ice cream ever come back? Brett says. So I actually talked to him about launching. We're going to beta test some stuff over the winter. And we want to try and make my ice cream without the booze in it so that even kids can enjoy it. And then the boozy ice cream, I'm not sure what the future of that's going to be, but the Mistress Carrie ice cream flavor, we are trying to bring back for next year. So it's totally big spoon, bendy straw. Use not your father's root beer. Yeah, that's the alcoholic root beer that I was talking about. I wonder if that would be good in a root beer float. I don't know how it could be terrible. Add some Jack to it. Yeah, I don't. Do you guys want me to be able to finish the show if we're going to start doing Jack shots on a Tuesday? Are you going to have puppies? Patrick wants to know. No, whenever I get a dog, whether it be from a breeder or if I rescue them, I've done both over the years. I always get my dogs fixed right away. I'm not a dog breeder. There's already so many dogs in the world that no, I have no intention of breeding my dogs. And I have had people ask me, if you have a litter of puppies, could I get one or whatever? But I'm just, maybe if I win Powerball so I can have my grumble of pugs and then I could start, sharing my pug love with the rest of the world. But no, I'm not going to be breeding the pugs anytime soon. Bish says, Carrie, Creed, and Daughtry last week in Providence was awesome. That was a good birthday present you got hooked up with, dude. I'm glad you had a good time. And Mammoth also opened up as well. So I hope you got there early enough to see Wolfgang Van Halen. Brett says, thank you for the ticks and the pics. Yeah, keep the pictures coming, guys. And like I said, you don't just have to be backstage with Hailstorm to send me show me your MC pictures. Just wherever you are, whatever it is that you're doing, if you got your Mistress Carrie gear on, take pictures and send them to me. You can get me straight through the website. You can send me pictures pretty much anyway. So if you are new to the War Room, welcome. And yes, it's the same Mistress Carrie. It amazes me that after like 5.5 years, people are still finding me on social media. It's like the algorithm, whenever we go live, trips new people that may not have been aware that there's stuff going on with me in the last 5.5 years. So not only did we launch Cocktails in the War Room, which we did first, then we launched MistressCarrie.com, then we launched the Mistress Carrie podcast, and then I started getting back on the radio, and there's a bunch of different places that you can listen to me every day, including Charleston's Best Rock, 98 Rock in Charleston, South Carolina. You can hear me every weekday following the Dave and Mahoney Morning Show from 10 to 3. You can download the free 98 Rock app, or you can stream the station at my98rock.com. And whether you stream the station or listen through the app, you can listen from anywhere. You can hear me every weekday afternoon on 100 FM The Pike in Worcester. You can download the free Pike app or listen right from the website at pikefm.com. And a reminder, coming up this Saturday, it's kind of like the unofficial end of the summer concert season for the Pike. Rockfest is happening at Indian Ranch this weekend. You can get the details and the link to get tickets on the concert calendar at mistresscarrie.com. You can also hear me every weekday afternoon from 3 to 7 on 1063 The Bone in Portland, Maine. So you can go to 1063thebone.com, or you can download the free Bone app and listen that way. And then earlier this year on Valentine's Day, we launched Mornings with Mistress Carrie, which up until this past Valentine's Day, Mornings was the only show that I had never done professionally. I covered for Hillman in the past, but I had never actually done a morning show. And when Laser called, they said, listen, we don't want you with a big team of people doing impressions and like crazy waka waka stuff. We want you on in the morning, playing music, talking about music, talking to all of the rock stars. And so I was like, okay, we can do that. So as of this past Valentine's Day, you can hear me from 6 to 10 a.m. every weekday morning on Everything That Rocks, Laser 99.3 and 98.5 in Springfield, Mass. Download the Laser app, or you can stream at laser993.com. So let's see. Let's see. I want to catch up with all of the comments. Keith says Mistress Carrie already has a set of puppies. Carrie, Creed, and Daughtry. Oh, nope. We already talked about that. What about your big antenna? Wait, what are you talking about, Lou? What do you mean the big antenna? Christine says, is anyone going to Cambridge on the 16th to go see the Dropout Kings? So if somebody is, let Christina know in the comments. Jessica wants to know any news on Brad Arnold. The only thing that I've heard about Brad Arnold from Three Doors Down is what he chooses to put up on Instagram, which is that he got himself a Maserati to drive himself back and forth to chemo appointments, which I thought was hilarious. And also he put up a picture walking his dog in the woods, looking a little thin. He's battling cancer, obviously. So just sending Brad Arnold love, obviously. I mean, he's going through something incredibly difficult and incredibly personal. And so whatever he chooses to share on social media is kind of all we really know. So hold on, I have to sip the root beer float. Eric says, been a day from hell. My 9-month-old was diagnosed with infantile spasms. She is now on a liquid steroid that will make her chunky with water weight, and will make her very uncomfortable for about a year. Eric, are you talking about dogs or babies? Because I know we were talking about dogs. So are you talking about a puppy or a baby? Either way, I'm so sorry. That's terrible. Shane says, oh boy, Maseratis are quite known for being an expensive car. Yeah, well, I mean, he's sold a few records, right? I think Kryptonite from Three Doors Down has got over 1 billion streams on Spotify alone. So he doesn't seem like the kind of guy. I mean, he still lives in Mississippi. He never moved to the Hollywood Hills or whatever. So I'm sure Brad Arnold's got the money for the Maserati. Hold on, ice cream. Rachel says, Eric, praying for you and your little one. Hopefully the medication works. Baby girl named Remy, says Eric. Voorhees says, Maseratis aren't expensive as Ferraris are. Well, that is true. So I apologize for eating the root beer float in front of you, but it's so delicious. So these are all the places that you can find me on the radio. Here are some places that you can find me in person. So this is coming up next weekend. It's coming up fast. Silver Scream Con 4 at the DCU Center the weekend of September 12th through the 14th. There will be a Mistress Carrie booth at Silver Scream Con in Worcester at the DCU Center. So if you're planning to go for one day or you've got 3-day passes, make sure you come by the Mistress Carrie booth. At Silver Scream Con. I always do some kind of special. And then the following weekend, you can hang out with me at the annual Johnny Appleseed Festival in downtown Leominster. That's coming up on September 20th. And there's going to be a big Mistress Carrie booth there as well. Casey says, holy FMC, how the hell do you keep up? Classic AAF kid in South Carolina. Yes, I'm all over the place, Shane. Yes, Casey. I'm everywhere, man. I'm taking over the world slowly. Eric says, my baby girl named Remy. Oh, Eric, we're sending you love. I'm so sorry. However, you live in a place where you have access to amazing medical care. You've got a diagnosis and a treatment plan. So that's really, really good. But obviously, everybody here is sending you love. Brett says, did you know that Chuck Perks is selling a bunch of his AAF stuff? Yeah, so I saw him put something up on Instagram that he was getting rid of a bunch of stuff. I actually had one of the old marketing people that worked with us at AAF years ago. I showed you guys here in the War Room, sent me this big case of old AAF stuff. So I have tubs of it stashed away downstairs that someday I'll go through it. Someday I'll catalog it. I think I'm always holding out hope that someone is going to maybe do a documentary about WAF someday. But between all the bumper stickers and the the posters and everything, John Costco watching on Instagram. John, when am I going to have a chance to see you sing again? When are you going to be around? I need to know the answer to these questions. Betty says that root beer float looks delicious. Oh, it is. It is. Bish says sleep doesn't apply to Carrie until the days where I actually get to sleep. Like when I was in Rome that time and I slept till noon. Like I slept like 12 and a half hours. It was like somebody unplugged me. Betty says, gonna see if I can talk my son into going there on the 20th. Yeah, come down to the Johnny Appleseed Festival. It's like 250 vendors. If the weather is good, which fingers crossed it's going to be, there's great food, there's music, there's tons going on. So these are two places where you can come and hang out with me in the next couple of weeks. So if you're new to Cocktails in the War Room, one of the things we always do is go through the bartender books and try to put our liquor cabinets to good use. I am going to go back through the index and see if I can find a drink with root beer in it in honor of the root beer float. Let me see. I don't think it cross references by ingredients. It's cross-referencing based on the names of the drink, but it's not giving me the chance to cross-reference based on, something like pineapple juice or root beer or whatever. So I'm just going to give you guys the recipe that I picked out earlier because we already went through Labor Day weekend. John Costco says, hey, gorgeous, always miss your voice. I'll private message you some news about Dropbox. Oh, really, Mr. Costco? Yeah, send me that message. I need to know what's going on. Bottom of the 8th, 7-7 for the Sox. All right, so because we went through Labor Day weekend, this is when a lot of people up north start making plans for trips down south in the wintertime. So I picked out the La Floridita, which is 2 ounces of Havana white rum, a dash of maraschino liqueur, juice of 1 lime, and also a dash of simple syrup and a lime wedge to garnish. Shake the ingredients with crushed ice, which is the best ice, and then strain into a cocktail glass filled with dry crushed ice. Add a lime wedge and serve with a straw. And if you're going to have maraschino juice in there, you should have a maraschino cherry. But I'll put this up there so you can screenshot it. It is the La Floridita. And I don't know if you guys can hear the snoring, but now Wednesday is back and then Friday is back on the other side of me. So I am bookended by pugs. All right, I want to recap last week's podcast episode, just in case you didn't check it out yet. Jack Underkoffler from Dead Poets Society was my guest on episode 273 of the Mistress Carrie podcast. Dead Poets Society was in town opening up for Chevelle alongside Asking Alexandria. Jack told me that they are going to be working on new music. And we talked about a bunch of stuff. There's one line in particular, we were talking about lobsters, that literally gets me laughing out loud every time. We talked about Ozzy. We talked about the state of the music business. We talked about touring. It's really funny when you talk to bands that have literally scratched their way onto tours and scratched their way on the radio and have just worked over the years, as opposed to releasing their first single and becoming huge. Because one of the things we talked about in this episode was how amazing the food is backstage on the Chevelle tour that was just at the MGM Music Hall at Fenway. And you could always tell a starving rock star because he was like, there's just always food around and it's delicious all the time. So I just love it when I talk to bands that still appreciate the simple things, right? Like a few minutes ago, we were talking about Brad Arnold's Maserati, and now we're talking about Jack Underkoffler, who's so grateful that there's catering backstage, which just always makes me laugh. But he's really, really funny. He's definitely not at a shortage of opinions by any chance. And if you haven't checked out Dead Poets Society yet, please do so. Don't forget that whenever I release an episode of the podcast, there's always a corresponding playlist that goes along with it on Spotify that gets linked in the show notes that features all of my guest music, including the new songs and albums that we're talking about in the interview, but also are the artists and songs that we reference, the artist that they grew up listening to, the artist that they're touring with, the inspiration. So if you haven't checked out the podcast yet, that's how it works. Just look in the show notes. I always make it easy to find their shows in the area. I link to the previous times they were on the show. And then I always put a playlist up there to make it a little bit easier for you to check out their music, because I know that there are people that listen to the podcast episodes that may not even know the band, but they're willing to give the band a try. And that's why I love being able to introduce you guys to newer bands. I love being able to keep you guys in touch with bands that I know you love already, but introducing you guys to new bands, I want you guys to be able to someday say, oh, I heard about them first on the Mistress Carrie podcast. And so I make it easy for you to track down their music. So that was episode 273 last week. Episode 274 is returning to the show. I'm talking about Sonny Sandoval from POD, who is going to be out on the road this fall with Seether and Daughtry. And Sonny and I talked about a lot of stuff, including, and I'm not going to give it away, I was talking about it on the air today, promoting that the episode is coming out tomorrow. But Sonny Sandoval's story about how he met Ozzy Osbourne back in the day, hilarious. And Sonny's been a friend of the show for a really long time. And we always get into serious conversations about stuff. One thing that some people might be able to appreciate is that Sonny's youngest son is now a freshman in college as of this week. And so for the first time in like 20 years, Sonny and his wife are empty nesters, which is something that we were talking about. He talked about what it was like to have his first child, his daughter, move away from home to go to school, and how that felt as a parent. So these are all things that just goes to show you, like, it doesn't matter how long the band's been around. It doesn't matter how many records they've sold. When it comes to being a parent, it's all the same. And so Sonny and I talked a lot about that. We also talked about the mid to late 90s and early 2000s era of music and how huge it is all over again with all of those bands that toured on the Ozfest. And there are just countless bands that thank Ozzy and Sharon and Jack and Kelly in some instances for giving them the opportunity of putting them on the Ozfest stage. So we talked about a lot of that stuff. So Sonny Sandoval from POD is my guest on episode 274 of the Mistress Carrie podcast that goes live at midnight tonight. And if you subscribe to the podcast, you get the weekly episodes on Wednesdays, the full-length episodes. You get the sit rep every Monday through Friday, which is 5, 6, 7 minutes long. And it runs down everything that is going on in music, in movies, in music technology, concerts getting announced, bands releasing new songs and albums. It gives you a chance to get caught up with everything that you need to know while you're making coffee, while you're in the shower, while you're driving the kids to school, and then you can get about on with your day. You can also hear shorter versions of the sit rep on Laser 99.3 and 98.5 in Springfield and on 106.3 The Bone in Portland, Maine as well. And if you're wondering where you can listen to the Mistress Carrie podcast, everywhere. Subscribe on your favorite podcast app. You can hear me through the Pantheon Podcast Network. All of the audio for every episode is up on YouTube. And the easiest to remember, you can just go to mistresscarrie.com, find the episode that you want to listen to, whether it's a sit rep, whether it's a bonus episode. There even is all of the old episodes of Cocktails in the War Room. They're all up there. Find the one you want to listen to and just click play, and it's right there for you. Holding strong at 149 countries, listening to the Mistress Carrie podcast. So I got to thank you guys for constantly sharing the podcast. If you guys have a POD fan that you're friends with or that's in your family, make sure you're sharing this week's episode. Comment on the episodes. Share the episodes. Just getting it onto people's algorithm is always the hardest thing. But obviously, you guys, it's working because 149 countries. So there you go. All right, if you're celebrating your birthday today, you're sharing it with Steve Porcaro from Toto, with Mick Kaminsky from ELO, and also Billy Preston. So if today's your birthday, cheers, happy birthday. Happy unbirthday, Keith. Whew. When you're used to root beer floats, and then you go drinking that, and that's not a root beer float. Woo-hoo-hoo. All right, hold on. One more ice cream bite. Root beer floats are the best, man. I love them so much. Okay, let's talk about some music headlines because there's a bunch of stuff happening. Mudvayne released what is their first song in 16 years, but it's not really the first single. I can tell you guys that the actual single is coming out soon. I'm sworn to secrecy. I have heard it. It's really, really good. And also Chad Gray from Mudvayne is going to be coming on the show. I don't know exactly when, but he promised that he was going to come on the show to talk about the new music, to talk about the tour, to talk about the band getting back together, all of that. So Mudvayne fans, sit tight because we're going to get all the details on the new music from the band themselves very, very soon. And yes, that'll be up as a podcast episode as well. Bon Jovi also announced that their album from last year, Bon Jovi Forever, was really hard for them to promote and tour on because John Bon Jovi had vocal cord surgery. So what they decided to do, and it's coming out next month, is that they decided to bring in a bunch of John Bon Jovi's friends to re-record the songs off of their latest album, Forever. And Jelly Roll is going to be on this album, which is pretty cool. Like Jelly Roll's not everywhere. Moscow Float. Yeah, exactly. Annette says, oh my God, I forgot it was Tuesday. That happens a lot after a Monday holiday. I was talking about it on the radio today. Just everybody always feels like you're off because your first day back to work feels like a Monday, but it's not. Over the weekend, fans of Brent Hinds and also members of Mastodon did a memorial walk in Atlanta to pay tribute to the former Mastodon guitarist who was killed at the age of 51 during a motorcycle accident. The police also released some details from the police report that, according to witnesses, he was traveling quickly. However, the BMW SUV that he collided with, the driver who stopped at the scene after the accident claims that she says the light was green. Witnesses say the light was not green, that the light was red. But either way, Brent Hinds had the right of way. She turned into him, did not yield and give the right of way. And according to someone who was a couple cars back, they saw him fly up over the handlebars and spin in the air. And in the police report, the paramedics said that he was still alive and conscious when paramedics arrived. However, the extent of his injuries from the accident is what he died of at the hospital. I do not know if he was wearing a helmet. A lot of people have been asking me that because Labor Day weekend was the 10th anniversary of my motorcycle accident. I don't know if he had a helmet on. I don't know if they require helmets in Georgia. There are some states like New Hampshire that just don't have helmet laws. Others do. I told you guys after my accident that my helmet saved my life. Had I had a full face helmet on, there's a chance that I would not have broken this part of my face that I had to have reconstructed not once, but twice. But I was told in no uncertain terms by the surgeon and by the emergency room physicians that the helmet 100% saved my life. Considering I had the helmet with me in the emergency room, they wanted to see exactly where the impact was. And so I will never get on a bike without a helmet. After my accident, I got a couple of emails within a year of my accident. One that some fans of mine were on a motorcycle without their helmets on, and it was a husband and a wife, and they got killed on a motorcycle because they didn't have helmets on. And then there was another couple that after my motorcycle accident went out and got like DOT like helmets and started wearing them, and they got into an accident and were told that the helmet saved their lives. So those stories within a year of my motorcycle accident, one obviously super tragic, and one I'm so grateful to know that because I talked about my accident and surviving because of my helmet, that they wore theirs and that their helmet saved their lives too. But I don't know if he was wearing a helmet or not. That That was not in the police report that they released. System of a Down is in the middle of playing their 6 sold-out stadium shows. They did 2 at MetLife Stadium with Korn opening up. Did you guys see the video of the guy up in the balcony? I shared it on Twitter. The guy's literally watching Korn at MetLife Stadium in broad daylight, masturbating. And somebody up behind him started videotaping him. And then somebody else was so mad that they were just doing it in broad daylight. I don't know if there were kids around or whatever, that the guy like sucker punched him. And then the next thing on the TikTok video is that the guy was getting hauled out of there by the state police and concert security. Insane. Then System of a Down went to Chicago, had Avenged Sevenfold open up for them at Wrigley, and Darren Malakian said that the band had a day off in Chicago, that he went wandering around to take pictures in Chicago, and that he stumbled upon a System of a Down tribute band at a bar, and Darren Malakian walked into the bar, jumped up on stage with them, did Cigarro with the band, and put up video on his Instagram, which is hilarious. And then they're doing 2 more sold-out shows in Toronto with the Deftones opening up, which is awesome. The other thing about the Deftones, they, for the first time in their careers, how long have the Deftones been a band now? 30 years? Is it 30 or 31 years since they released their debut album? And this week, the Deftones have their first #1 rock song ever. The Deftones' first #1 rock song, which is just insane. So congratulations to the Deftones. Let me get caught up with the comments here. Definitely thought we lost you, says Bish. Yeah, I did not want to be lost. Trust me. Did you do the course at Sheldon's yet? Donna wants to know. No, I have not. Lou says, thank God you had a helmet. Exactly. Yeah, Sherry, it's totally gross. Red Sox win 11-7. Yes, that is fantastic. Eric says, oh my God, I saw that. I live in Chicago and that was so nuts. Yeah, like I love it when that happens. Sometimes when artists come to Boston, they go walking around Faneuil Hall if they're playing at the Garden because it's not that far, and they stumble upon a street performer playing their music. That's happened. John Legend just started playing with a street performer. And a lot of the street performers in Boston are musicians that go to Berklee College of Music, and they get a permit to go down and perform live music in places to make money. But I love it when it happened with Hailstorm in Nashville at John Bon Jovi's club, that the band just happened to be walking down the street, heard somebody playing their music, and they walk into the club and jump up on stage with them, which is hilarious. So I always love it when bands do that. Let's see. And then Annette says, oh my God, I'm so mad I didn't go to Nine Inch Nails. So Nine Inch Nails just sold out the TD Garden, but did you guys see the footage from Philly, which is why I wanted to talk about it? A guy that looked like Santa, like real white beard, the whole thing, went in full Santa garb to the Nine Inch Nails show and body surfed, like crowd surfed. They passed him up over the security guards in the front of the stage, over the barricade, and as Santa was walking away after crowd surfing to Nine Inch Nails, Trent Reznor from the stage in the middle of singing pointed at Santa and was laughing so hard that he had to pull away from the microphone, and he missed like 2 lines of a song because he was laughing so hard that Santa Claus was crowd surfing at a Nine Inch Nails concert, which is hilarious. Karina says, amazing new Deftones private music. It is so good. I'm so happy for them. And anxiously awaiting for them to tour around here. Well, they toured earlier this year before the record came out, but it's hard to believe that My Mind is a Mountain is like the first #1 Deftones single in their entire career, which is just insane. Brett says, I cannot wait to see who Tom Morello brings on stage in Boston. Yeah, you just never know who it's going to be. Santa Be Wild, says Casey. Nine Inch Nails was amazing at the Garden, says Karina. Nine Inch Nails, one of my favorite bands of all time. The Black Crowes, one of my favorite bands of all time. Tool, one of my favorite bands of all time. I've never really seen a bad show from any of those guys. So yeah, 100%. Speaking of the TD Garden, Mike Shue this week on 100 FM The Pike in Worcester is giving away tickets every day this week to see Eric Clapton at the TD Garden on September 16th. Also, Bryan Adams, who just released his new album last week, is going to be at the Garden coming up on October 26th. We talked earlier about the Silver Scream Con that's next weekend at the DCU Center, but on Saturday night, Ice Nine Kills is headlining the DCU Center Arena. So this is in the convention center. This is in the arena. Dayseeker, The Funeral Portrait, it's all part of Silver Scream Con. If you don't have your tickets yet, the links and everything you need to know are up on the concert and event calendar at mistresscarrie.com. This one completely sold out. People are clamoring. I'm telling you, people have been begging me for tickets to this show. There are just no tickets to be had. Sleep Token at the DCU Center on September 23rd on their Even in Arcadia tour. Big Night Live in Boston has got Everclear, Local H, and Sponge coming up on October 21st. And in November, From Ashes to New is going to be at Big Night Live, which is the club that's attached to the TD Garden. So, and we are nearing the end of the outdoor concert season, unfortunately, in the Northeast. Breaking Benjamin and 3 Days Grace, September 11th. Falling in Reverse, September 13th. Papa Roach and Rise Against and Under Oath on the 14th. This is going to be a very busy week. We're going to be very tired this week, for sure. And let me see here. Santa was definitely hopped up on the eggnog, says Bish. If you haven't seen the video yet, you can just Google Santa 9 Inch Nails and it'll come up. It's so funny. Donna wants to know, do you know when Bon Jovi is coming to Boston? So John Bon Jovi talked about reissuing Forever with all of the guest appearances because he had been struggling recovering from vocal cord surgery. And they have not announced if the band is going to go back out on the road, when the band is going to go on the road. They haven't said anything yet. So coming up this weekend, Sully Erna performing solo acoustic on the Sun patio of Mohegan Sun. George Thorogood coming up on the 19th at the Lynn Auditorium. Bryan Adams at Mohegan, October 25th. Seven Dust, the Southside Double Wide Acoustic Tour, is at the Somerville Theater November 22nd. The Reunited Lemonheads are at the Wilbur on November 26th. Spirit Box at the Oakdale Theater in Connecticut, December 7th. Bush and Soul Asylum at the Mohegan Sun Arena on December 4th. And Heart at the SNHU Arena and at the Oakdale Theater, and all of those shows are up on the concert and events calendar. Leader Bank Pavilion, the rock shows are over for the year, but fear not, they're going to start announcing tours for next year very, very soon. So you know that they're coming. And as soon as they announce them, I will let you know. So fear not. Coming up on the 7th, My Chemical Romance and Idols are part of the Fenway concert series at Fenway Park. And those tickets are pretty hard to come by as well. The Palladium, Poppy is there right now tonight at the Palladium in Worcester. Mushroom Head in October, Guar and Atreyu in November. And let's not forget the one-day New England Metal and Hardcore Festival that's happening at the Palladium outdoors in Worcester. Flashback to the 90s, says Annette. Eric says, got my boss's son rocking out to Cold's album, Year of the Spider. I love that album, by the way. Mainly the song Stupid Girl. He's only 9. He says, I need to show him Guar, but there's a time and a place for Guar, probably around Halloween. Yeah, you need to be careful with Guar. Their live show is not appropriate for a lot of 9-year-olds. Are you planning to go see Sully? Jessica wants to know, not sure yet. It all depends on how everything else goes this weekend, because the next 2 weekends after that, we're going to be pretty busy with events, so I'm not sure if I'm going. Carol says, my friends play at John Bon Jovi's in Nashville. Yeah, that place I hear is awesome. Are you going to be at Silver Scream Con again in Worcester? Yes. I will be there. There'll be a Mistress Carrie booth set up in the convention center at Silver Scream Con all 3 days. Lou says, is Joe Perry coming back to Foxwoods anytime soon? Lou, from what I know, they canceled the Foxwoods show. They didn't reschedule it. So I'm not sure what's going on with that. Denise says, was listening to Eddie Trunk. He mentioned while at Rocklahoma this past weekend that there was a rumor that Bon Jovi is planning on touring, but did not say when. Only time will tell. That's the thing. There's been a lot of rumor that maybe Bon Jovi is going to go out on the road next year. There were even rumors that Richie Sambora would rejoin the band, but those rumors have been around for years. John Bon Jovi's surgery, I think, was like middle to end of 2022, and he's still been trying to get his voice back. So, you know, we don't know what's going on with that. Roadrunner has got Garbage on their final North American tour. Garbage said this is it. This North American tour is their last one. So if you've never seen Garbage, they're going to be at Roadrunner on September 18th. Youngblood is going to be at Roadrunner on September 19th. And Geezer Butler just went and saw this tour kickoff and said that it's the best show he's seen in years. So there you go. And of Monsters and Men is coming up on October 29th as well. Get all the details on those shows up on the concert and event calendar. Alabama Shakes getting ready to release their first album in quite a long time. They'll be at the MGM Music Hall at Fenway on the 14th. And then Seether, Daughtry, and POD with Sonny Sandoval, my guest this week on the podcast, October 7th. Mudvayne and Static X, October 25th. And Cage the Elephant coming up on October 30th. I got to check something really quick. And then at the House of Blues, Bruce Dickinson is coming up on September 11th. Avatar today released the track listing for their upcoming new album. They're going to be at the House of Blues November 26th, and Nothing More has already scheduled their tour for February of next year. They definitely win when it comes to announcing their tour the furthest out, other than Metallica when they announced 2.5 years worth of M72 world tour dates all at one time as well. One other thing I wanted to remind you guys about, hold on one second. Is the Dorothy show that's coming up at the Palladium as well. And that's also up on the concert calendar. So just Dorothy's going to be there this week. Paradise Rock Club, I've got some updated concert dates coming. Somebody want to put up the date for that Dorothy show in the comments, by the way? Because I don't think it made it onto this graphic, and I want to make sure everybody knows when Dorothy's going to be at the Palladium. City Winery has got Cold. Speaking of Cold, this is going to be like kind of an unplugged, different kind of Cold show. Scooter said that he wanted to try something a little different with this tour. So if you're a Cold fan, City Winery Boston, you definitely want to go and see them. And the stage at Suffolk Downs, this is happening this weekend session, the 2-day Irish Music Culture Festival, headlined by the Dropkick Murphys on Saturday and the Pogues on Sunday. Also, Turnstile and Iggy Pop are going to be there in September. New releases coming out this Friday: Bless the Fall, Gallows, David Byrne, Who is the Sky, Glenn Hughes, Chosen, Rob Thomas, All Night Days. John says you should look up the group The Warning. John, they've already been on the Mistress Carrie podcast. We know who The Warning is. Trust me. We know who they are. We've been talking a lot about them, actually. They have a new concert film that's out and a new live album that just came out that was recorded in Mexico City. But yes, they have been on the Mistress Carrie podcast. Matter of fact, the listening in Mexico and down in South America when The Warning, the Villarreal girls, when they were on the show, was insane. So we know who they are. Also, Slipknot's 25th anniversary edition of the debut album comes out on Friday, and War, the CD collection 1971 to 1975. Those are all coming out this Friday. Hold on. I want to make sure that I am getting the right information to you guys. So you guys are talking about Dorothy. She's at the Palladium on September 7th. Dorothy is. So this weekend. It's a very busy weekend for concerts for sure. Okay, mail call. Got a card. It says, you two were really made for each other. Aww. And it says, or maybe you've just picked up each other's weird habits, whichever. Happy 5th anniversary. Wishing you all the best. Regards, Melissa and Tim McMahon. Thank you, guys. Yeah, 5 years and counting. It's just craziness. Okay, I wanted to show you guys the mock-up of the new reflective beanies. They are in production right now. I do not have a delivery date yet, but I wanted to show you guys they are on the way. So this is a black beanie with the Mistress Carrie logo. There is no fold, so they fit better under a helmet, but those gray stripes are actually reflective thread. So they are great for motorcyclists, for runners, for cyclists, for anybody that's just going to be outside walking your dogs maybe at night. You want to have something a little reflective on, especially as the weather gets colder. The Mistress Carrie reflective beanies are coming. I was messaging with T-Shirt Brian today because he's getting them made for me, and they're coming. They're in production right now. I just don't know when. And the new Mistress Carrie, or I Rode with Mistress Carrie helmet stickers and the Property of Mistress Carrie bumper stickers, they are shipped like right now. I'm waiting for them. I'm tracking them. I don't have them yet, but my assumption is that these stickers are going to be in by the War Room next week, which I'm super excited about. And so the sticker pack that's in the online store is going to get reconfigured with new stickers in it. And as soon as that happens, they'll be made available on the website, and then obviously you can get grab them from me when you see me out at Silver Scream Con, or you see me out at the Johnny Appleseed Festival as well. All right, if you've got a Mistress Carrie backstage pass, a few things. You never know when you're going to be hanging out backstage with Hailstorm. That could happen. Backstage pass holders, we do an exclusive live stream every month. You find out who's going to be on the podcast before anybody else, so you can submit podcast questions. When I travel, I take you with me. Travel blog updates. I go over all the different places that I went, recommendations, things I would do different, all of that kind of stuff. Early access to event information. You also get access to free concert tickets. Backstage pass holders right now have access to Breaking Benjamin and 3 Days Grace tickets at the Xfinity Center September 11th, and Papa Roach Rise Against and Under Oath tickets at the Xfinity Center on September 14th. And you also get discount codes for new merchandise as well. So if you don't have a Mistress Carrie backstage pass, you can go to patreon.com/Mistress Carrie, or just go to mistresscarrie.com and click the Patreon logo. Bish says, oh my God, I love them. Please, Carrie, put one aside for me. Bish, you're the one that asked for them. You get the first one. So yes, I promise I will make sure that you get the first one. Nobody's going to buy them out from under you. It's not girly, Tom. Let's see. Betty says, since I follow you, have too many mistresses introducing themselves to me. I know, Betty, I apologize. For some reason, they have not been able to fix that part of the algorithm that I still get categorized with like dominatrixes. And as soon as you like the Mistress Carrie page, you start finding out exactly how many dominatrixes there are on the internet. So yeah. Keith said, that's how I ended up as a kid. Put one of those beanies aside for me. It looks amazing. You got it, Bish. No problem. Want to remind you guys about all the different places that you can find me on social. All of these links are up at mistresscarrie.com. And once again, a reminder of all the radio stations you can hear me on every weekday. 100 FM The Pike in Worcester. Download the Pike app. 106.3 The Bone in Portland, Maine. Download the Bone app. 98 Rock in Charleston, South Carolina. You can download the 98 Rock app. And Laser 99.3 and 98.5. Everything that rocks in Springfield. And you can download that app and listen anywhere you go. So, So there you go. And one more thing. We are up over 4,100 members and counting. I'm talking about the Mistress Carrie Veterans Rock Group. It is a public group on Facebook for the sole purpose of just organizing all of the different veterans efforts that are out there. If you're a veteran and you need help with resources, or you need guidance about resources or information about filling out paperwork, there are tons of veterans in this group. You just ask a question and people will send you links and information. There's a tons of veteran service officers that are also part of this group that can steer you in the right direction as well. But it's also a great place to find details on nonprofits that service veterans, volunteer opportunities if you're a civilian, if you're a veteran-owned business, then you're trying to get the word out, or if you're looking to hire veterans, anything veteran-related is on the Mistress Carrie Veterans Rock Group on Facebook. Eric says, got to get going. Got to give the little lady her nighttime meds. She's going to take the syrup 5 times a day. We got her the marshmallow flavor. She fights it. So yeah, it's going to be a long ass night. Eric, we're sending you love. I'm so sorry that she's not doing well, but I'm so happy to find out that you guys have a diagnosis and a treatment plan. And marshmallow flavored medicine, they didn't have that when I was a kid. I'm a little jealous. I bet that's delicious. Shane says, gonna finish my pizza and go to bed just to guarantee I have the shits at work tomorrow, he says. Donna wants to know, do we have a date on the next Mistress Carrie Backstage Pass Live? I think it might be this weekend, Donna. I will let you guys know this week. The long holiday weekend kind of hosed us when it came to that at the end of the month. And the next 2 weekends, I'm going to be super crazy busy with events. So I think the Backstage live stream is going to be this Sunday. But I will confer with you guys by the end of the week to confirm that. So yeah, it's going to be this weekend. All right, guys. Don't forget, episode 274 of the Mistress Carrie podcast goes live at midnight tonight, featuring Sunny Sandoval from POD. And I will see the rest of you guys next Tuesday night at 8:30. Good night, guys. The pugs say good night, too.